Is there anything you can think about that is more important than anything, lest it is not important than anything at all? What is it that will destroy anything that if you have too much of it, somebody else will have less? Obviously, you can never have it all. But if you did have it all, you would have nothing at all. And then everybody would have nothing also. But in all actuality, if you had it all, everybody would have more than you. You'd be left out. If you had all the money in the world, we wouldn't need you anymore. We'd make our own money because you'd be only one. What good is your money with your face on it? It's almost like me printing my face on it. Just because you removed and were able to gain all the money from the society, well, game over. The monopoly game is done. You've done your zig, you've done your zag. It's done. Money has to be, within the next at least no longer than 5 years, okay, has to be reviewed on how we're supposed to use it. And is anybody allowed to own $1 trillion worth of something? Imagine you go up to 5% of the people in the world and say, listen, you can no longer own what you own. How can you do that to somebody? But the whole thing is, the system made it a certain distance because of the cause, okay, in relation to what the rich people own today. They caused it to happen. I'm not talking about a guy with 10 million or 18 million. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking billions, okay? I'm talking about guys getting salaries out of a company of $250 million, which is insanity. Insanity. He should only get that once and he should retire from the space. He should be ashamed. You should take pride in the job that you do, regardless of the salary. But obviously, it's not fair and it's not fun to get less. But imagine this, 10,000 employees, $1. Imagine you walk in, you want a $1 raise, but there's 10,000 of you at 40 hours each. That $1 that you want, 10,000, becomes $10,000 an hour times 40 is $400,000. If the company is only making in that week 300,000, that would be impossible. And if there are weeks he doesn't make anything, it would be a disaster. So this thing about having and making money would have to be a thing that goes over a period of 5 years, where you have 5 years to do something with that money, or you'll be um, something taxed again or something. We have to make sure that the money goes around and around. Maybe over a period of 20 years we'll do it. I don't know what the period has to do. You know what I'm saying? But what if that same guy lost 100 million one year and we didn't let him make the money in order to do that? So you see, it works the opposite. You have to let the guy. I think it has to do with how much can one person own. If he makes a lot of money out of it, we shouldn't care. But how much of space and opportunity should one person own? Space, free space, not saying that it costs nothing, but space is the biggest thing in this world. It's just there. The coordinates you've designed around it, okay, makes it where it is. And if there's nothing there and you have the opportunity to use it, pay for it and use it. We need money as a median of the separation of not the comprehension, the separation of, what can I say, of the two derivatives, one where one is worth $1, the other is worth 3, but I can't give you a piece of land and put it in your pocket. We had to come up with something like deeds for land and exchange, so we made up this thing about money. I guess we somehow, some way, money will always exist as an exchange of something for something else. Just like the universe gave up part of its vegetation to man, or we go back to the bathroom and pollute the world, but the world's actually happy because it's got a new pollutant. You know what I'm saying? The world's happy that we polluted and did all this action, because over time it'll gain and learn a new species because of what we did. Every time we do something that is wrong, a new ugly little species will come up from the ground. The design is from who we are. That's all. It's the way the world is. It goes round and round. When you see 6, you see 9. What you see up is down, and what is down is up, but not the one in the center. Because the one in the center is the up world. It's 11. Don't you see 11? 11, 11. The upper world, the lower world. Anyways, the functionality of the totality of what is coming in is the brown star, the moons in the sky, communication tower. That's what I call the moons. I know nothing about science, but in my book, the moon is a communication tower between planets. The moon, okay, on Earth can pick up from Venus if it had anything to say, but in all actuality, it has nothing to say because everything Venus needs to say comes out of Mars, and Mars has 2 moons, and everything that Mercury has to say comes out of Mars, okay, because it has a moon, because Mercury's replaced as to being the man's spirit, the man's heart, the man's bloodline, okay? Somehow in between the first couple of numbers, obviously, I'm going to come up with the aorta, the heart, and the plugs that it hooks up to, because everything's going to hook up at the end. You know that. We all know that. Too many coincidences. They got to mean something. If they meant nothing, then how did we create anything at all that made sense? Our minds are made, okay, to follow the line of sensibility, to be sensitive, sensible, to understand. That's what the mind is all about. Otherwise, God wouldn't give us a mind and make us do what we do. If you do believe in the God, then you must believe that the mind, okay, has come here to run. The mind has come here to run. And away we go, into the mind, inside the soul of a human, of what they call a being. You know why they call it a being? One of the reasons they call it a being is because we come from every element of vegetable that you can talk about. I mean, look at the pineapple. It's either your brain or the suspension on your body. You see the way it opens and closes and it's so watery? What about a watermelon? You ever take a look at a watermelon under the light? It looks more like peach and a light color than the red. Very wet, wet watermelon. You ever think of the synagogue, or you ever think of this, trying to put the Hebrew letters together by odd numbers only? But I've been confused with the Hebrew letters because they have the bet and the vet, and they say Aleph is silent. So in all actuality, the Hebrew letters start off from 2 until 8, and then 9. Aleph is silent because you have bet and vet. But they're silent too because Gimel makes all the action. But Gimel and Dalet are almost in the same position because where is Bet and Bet? So I'm a little confused because if Bet and Bet are the only 2 that work together, one is Bet with an egg, one is Bet without the egg. So is it Bet Gimel that get together? Or is it Bet Vet that get together? Or does Aleph go with Bet? Okay, but Aleph as Vet. The first time around in the Hebrew letters, okay, that's what it must be. The first time around in the Hebrew letters, okay, Aleph is alive and he's talking. Vet, Bet, and Vet, okay, Vet is alive, but Bet is not alive. Because Bet is just the number of where it is, and when you come around again, then Bet is alive and she's organized to start the creation on this planet, where you skip around number 1. Skip around, skip around, skip around number 1. Okay, so we got the vet. Who's the vet? Well, it's Aleph. Aleph is A and B. He's the Aleph, and he's the bet. He's the vet. But he can't be, no, he's the vet. He's not the bet, because the bet's the egg part of the vet. So he takes that and he puts it in Gimel. And then, boom, shabang, you got a Dalet. But to extend the walls of this world, you got to have a Hey. The minute you have Hey, you have Vav with a transfer from Zion. It just works so perfectly because Zion and the 7th gate and God all work together, and we come from Zion. That's why everybody says we have to go back to Israel at the end. Well, let me tell you one thing. If I have to go back to Israel at the end because I'm a Jew, okay, how am I supposed to support my fellow friends and neighbors? If I left my neighbors to be in the middle of who I am with neighbors again, who I must invite into my den because I am on a part of this planet and so are they. And God didn't say, he really didn't say, anything about you own it, you can't let anybody in. We're here to share. I would stay here, and Jerusalem would be all over the world. Because Jerusalem, if you say it, it says, I am sailing on the lands and the oceans and the continents of this world. Jerusalem, J-E, together those letters are 10 and 5. It's Omega, okay? It says in French, it is I. Roo, like kangaroo, like Hoppy in the Flintstones, like the Hoppy Indians. The wheel, which is the Roo. It's the angel resident comprehension of who you are, because it's the Y of O and U. All three parts, 777, the 21st letter in the alphabet is U. Which word were we on? Kangaroo, Nibiru, Jerusalem. Salem, I'm sailing away. Just says it right there. What, it can't be that easy? Okay, let's look for something else. Spirit angel, S-A. S&A is a code or an abbreviation that I think they put that on electrical boxes saying this is in the right order. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is the code of perfection, S&A. So now I take these letters, S&A is code of perfection. If that's what it is, I may have the wording wrong, but still the same thing is we have in our lives to know, at least where I'm from, S&A means a certain code. Now, if it means this all over the world, oh, it means a lot more. But obviously, what's so fantastic about this world is the opposite side. How everything is so different. If you go on and look any of their, because when I go on, I'm sorry, I used to gamble, I do a little whatever, but whatever it is, I just say, I look at this because I've been in casinos before, and I look at the odds, the way they do it in Europe, and the way they do it in Japan, and I just look up at all the sites trying to look for differences. Then I'll look up at a Monopoly game and see the Monopoly game from different places of the world, and then I'll see the banker in the center, and I'll see the shoe lying down, and I'll see an iron. What do you think the iron is? They have that iron. It's been in our life for a long time. Is it time to iron things out? The dog has fallen down in Monopoly. The hat has never been flipped over. Unless, which way do you play Monopoly? With the hat up or with the hat down? And then again, you got the old style wheelbarrow. Wait a second, I'm rolling the dice. And what number do we get? 6. And we've got Oriental. Oh, how are you, everybody? I know, make fun of the Chinese, but it's so great to have these different languages because it's fun to make fun of it. I feel different. I feel like an actor. I want to. You can, and eventually what happens is you start to pronounce the words the way they say it. And over a period of time, you now learn the Asian language. It takes time in this world, because if everything was fast, we'd get so bored all the time. Oh, I did that last time. I remember. I don't want to do it again. Oh, it's too easy. Oh, my, I don't want to play. It's too easy. Oh, my, it's not fair. You always lose purposely. We want everything. We want to be destroyed. At the same time, we want everything catered to us. So we are insane, eh? No wonder they let it in no other animal. Do animals understand each other through speech? Yeah, I can hear it now. George in the jungle is saying, hey, oh, you want a banana? He says, no, fucker, I want a piece of meat. He says, you're eating it right on the plate. Christ. You ever see that? No cigarettes. You want to quit something? What do you want to quit for? What does it mean to quit? Let me put it this way. QU always goes together. It means the 3 parts of the heaven connection. QU, okay? IT, that's already 29. That's the birth in this world. It means you want to give up what you made into your world. When you bring something into the world, for you it's a 9, and then it becomes in your dictionary just under a number 6 in general. You make something into this world, from a 9, it's a 6. You have a thought. The thought is on your mind. You're thinking. You're thinking. Your thought is part of your beta. And wait, your thought, your thinking, and your creation. And I'm going to tell you that what I'm thinking is my thought. That's my thinking and my thought. That's my creation of my mind. CC 33. When it comes out, it becomes 9 because it's the first time it's happened. I've never said it at the same time. I can't talk to 2 things at once and say the same thing. So what happens is that I thought and I think, that came out, 3 and 3 came to 9, and when everything was over, it was noted as 6, because to everybody else it was no more than less. It's above 5 because it's something. Nothing is 5 because it's just remembered. It's no more classified anywhere than one place. But when you classify in 6, you classify with your spirit, your ability to think and put it down on paper. The black, blue, red, green, whatever color ink you want to write with, you are writing. That is the creative thoughts of the creation of what came through and what got written down as 6. But if it doesn't get written down, it's just like everything else, just another 5. Oh, here she comes, just another 5. Just average. But you really don't want to put anybody down. So you really want to say when a chick passes by, she's a 6. You know what I'm saying? Because once you get to 5, you may as well give her a 4. Because Christ, anything that's at 5 isn't half finished yet. 5 is not half full and it ain't half empty. Okay? It ain't completed. 5 is not a completion. Only at 6 can you complete. When you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the average on this dice and the 9 lives at a dog pound, okay, the average is 5. You have 9 little spots that don't show up. At the average of 5 equals 45. And if you add 1 to 9 on your telephone, it equals 45. Look on the Mayan calendar. You'll see little dice everywhere. All the number 5. You're not here nor there, comes the rabbit hole. Where is the bunny ears? So the bunny comes out of the rabbit hole. But it's dangerous up there. You know why? Because old Sammy Sam is coming in with his gun. So the rabbit sticks up his rabbit ears, and we know they're antennas. You know why? Because when old Sammy Sam shoots at him, you see his bunny ears split apart. He can hear what's going on before he pops on out. So if the bunny's coming out and the bunny's going in, where does man come from? Man came from the tunnel of love. Most times, especially in these times, you take an insertion of a needle. You stick it inside the tunnel. You crank it up. Old style. Sex is old style. You still got to get on the woman. She gets on you, and one of you got to make a move. So you start making a move, and you say, wait a second. Don't they got a machine for this nowadays? Hey, I need to have a baby. Okay, get the sex machine. You sit on your side, I'll sit on my side. We'll transfer the wire over to you. So then at this time, you'd say, whoa. You'd be able to see in the outside world going through that passage from one building to the next. Let's call them the Twin Towers. Because up at the top, there's those heavy holy lights. Chewing the cud, 7th gate, G-point of connection. Is it a V or is it a triangle? A flat triangle. The pie of life. Anyways, the injection of this fluid swims around in his pipe and finally gets into the other side. And what happens? He's glow in the dark. No kidding, he's glow in the dark. How do I know? Well, my wife had a baby. We went down to the hospital. They put that little jelly. We looked inside. I saw him was glow in the dark. He was squirming around 1,000 miles an hour. But wait a second. I had a problem when I had my first child. I thought I was going to have like triplets. Because when they put that little yellow thing on the stomach and started moving around, I saw 1,000,000 little animals. And I says, well, if those 1,000,000 little animals get together, they can make at least 3 kids at once. All of a sudden it came out. My son came out, and he had his tail on the wrong end. He got one between his legs, and he got one sticking out of his puppet. He's got a tail in his puppet. He's got 2 tails. Turn him around. Shit, he's got an ass too. Wow. God really hooked us up at one end, made us empty out at the other end. But how come the ass wasn't hooked up? Does the ass hook up to the belly button? And when the child inside in the last few months shits out what he doesn't need, it goes through and back into the woman. You think God did this for a reason? Where man's ass was shut for the first time? You ever hear that before? Man's ass for the first 9 months while he's being born, inside his mother, man's ass or big mouth is shut. The only place that he drains his ass is through his belly button. And today he fills it up with beer. So let's go figure this out. Man grew from the crops of the field, from the yield of the field. Raphael 72:86.